Good afternoon. Let's call the meeting to order. I want to be respectful of everybody's time and at the same time be efficient because we have other things to attend. I'll start with the reading of the conflict statement. Members of the committee are hereby advised of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this committee with respect to which there is a conflict of interest or appearance of conflict. Does anyone wish to note a conflict at this moment? You certainly can do so later in the program. Seeing none, we shall proceed with the agenda that you have in front of you, which is in your materials. First item is approval of the minutes from the prior meetings, and the chair will entertain a motion to recommend approval to the council.
So moved.
Any discussions about approval of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Second item is approval of the executive committee minutes from the October 26th meeting. They were in the materials. The chair will entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Proceeding with the agenda, we will now hear from the Finance and Audit Committee, and the chair is Mr. Matt Smith. Matt.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance and Audit Committee met for this committee's consideration. The fourth quarter financial statements have been delivered to you via SharePoint. We're happy to entertain, let me rephrase that. Alice is happy to entertain any questions on any specific item within said budget. But they are there. Alice, do you want to say anything on the fourth quarter statements?
Just that there were 6 expense items that were over budget. They were discussed with the Finance and Audit Committee, and it's my understanding that the recommendation is to approve, including those 6 items.
That will be the recommendation of the committee. Mr. President, the motion from the committee is to approve those financial statements with the expense items as noted.
That requires no second coming from a committee. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Matt.
Next item is the operational budget for year 2024. That has also been posted to SharePoint. We will have one matter that we'll handle in executive session towards the end of this meeting. But the budget is there. You've seen the executive director's notes on it. Just one quick item on that. There's been a significant increase in the budget due to a compensation study that was done by the State Bar, looking at every aspect, every employee, so to speak, salary at State Bar. And based on those recommendations, we have increased the salaries of everyone, I do believe, based on those. So the recommendation of the Finance and Audit Committee would be to approve the budget as they are. Happy to entertain any questions. Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, that's the motion of the committee.
Does not require a second. No further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Again,
That passes.
Again, Mr. President, we reserve that one item for closed session. Also, as part of SharePoint is the budgets for the Client Security Fund, Board of Trustees, the Board of Legal Specialization, the CLE Board, the Lawyer Assistance Program, Board of Trustees, and the Board of Paralegal Certification. Those are in your materials. Do you have any questions? Mr. Chairman, that is the motion of the Finance and Audit Committee.
Requiring no second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. We shall now move to hearing from the Appointments Advisory Committee. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. First one up is Lawyer Assistance Program, the LAP Board. We have 3 appointments for 3-year terms. Evan Rawls, our own, is not eligible for reappointment. The recommendation there is for Craig Lynch to be the counselor appointment. For a lap volunteer and the clinician appointment, Shelley Buckner and Timothy Carroll are both eligible for reappointment, and it would be the recommendation of the appointments committee that Craig Lynch, Shelley Buckner, and Timothy Carroll be appointed.
I'm sorry, you recommended approval of all three of those?
All three of those, Mr. President.
Motion requires no second coming from the committee. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Mr. President, according to the rules, that we also have to appoint the chair and vice chair of LAP. It will be the recommendation of the Appointments Advisory Committee that our own Warren Savage be reappointed as chair and Crawford Cleveland be appointed as vice chair.
For the record show, I recuse myself from this vote.
It shall, so shall. That recommendation needs a second. Any further discussion from the committee? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Next would be the State Bar Foundation Board. We have two appointments for four-year terms. The bylaws of the foundation require that these be held by past presidents. Tony DeSandy and Jim Dorsett are not eligible for reappointment. Margaret Hunt and Ron Baker are the recommended appointees from the board.
No second is required. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Next one, we have two appointments to NC Leaf. William Purcell and James R. Grant are both eligible for reappointment. It would be the recommendation of the Appointments Advisory Committee, motion of the Appointments Advisory Committee to reappoint those two.
No second being required. Any further discussion?
To designate D. Clark Smith Jr. as an emeritus member of the board, and that will be the committee's recommendation.
No second being required. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Moving on with the agenda, take them in order. Item 2, proposed amendments for adoption. These proposed amendments have been published back in after the October meeting, and no adverse comments were received, and so the recommendation is that these be adopted. And I will take them as a group. Section 4.1 in your materials, unless there is some objection to considering them as a group. Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the adoption of these proposed amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Item 4.2 is another proposal for the adoption of amendments to the procedures of the fee dispute resolution process. It's in your materials. This deals with the methods of service of process to a respondent. Thank you all for indulging me. Okay. Number 4, you will see there are no proposed rules for publication. Move to yeah, I was going to say there being no number 5 by omission, we will move to item number 6, which is the litigation report, and I will recognize our counsel, Ms. Bannon, for that report.
Yes, well, the litigation report is in your materials, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. There is one matter, however, that I would recommend that the committee consider in closed session to receive legal advice at the appropriate time.
And the plan, just for the committee's planning, is that we will handle that at the end of this agenda, probably in connection with the distinguished service announcements and thereafter. So that is certainly reserved. The next report is from the legislative liaison, Mr. Bolak. Peter?
Nothing. I haven't heard a thing from the General Assembly in a while. No. There's a State Bar Review Committee that is going to have their first meeting next week to review mostly the grievance process and the disciplinary process to see if there are ways to find improvements that would in the interest of this board and that are beneficial to the bar and the public. And so we have 2 State Bar past presidents on that committee, Marcy and Colin, who will attend next week, and we'll be watching. You can watch that meeting on the legislature's website. I'll send out the link. That it'll be live streamed, and you can watch it. And hopefully, this committee, we are going into it with the full faith that we're going to be able to find good solutions and common ground, and looking forward to working on it. But we'll have more to report after this committee and as it goes forward here in the next.
And, but one of the last things that she's done is she put together a phone call with Walter and I and Matt Sims and Leonore with Matt Sims from Standpoint Decisions. And we spent about an hour and a half going over the template of the cybersecurity self-assessment. And I think, and I'll speak for Walter, to let him speak for himself if he wants to, but it looks awesome. And we're all pretty juiced and excited about the possibilities. It's now been put into the hands of some subject matter experts with the North Carolina Bar Association and Restorative Mutual, and they are working with this template to get this up and running. And I know this has been a slow process, but what looks like the initial looks at this thing is going to be really, really good. And I think I want to turn it over to Walter to speak a few words as well about it. He's been great to work with on this too. We're going to miss Leonore because the 2 of us are going to have to work a little harder.
We will muddle through somehow. For the record, Walter Rock, co-chair of that committee, along with Evan and Walter, you recognize.
Yeah, well, Evan and I are both in our 9th year. We're determined to get this done this year. It hasn't taken 9 years. We know that. But we have learned that it is quite a process to start a brand new program and brand new concept from scratch. And Leonore has been great. She's been there the whole time. And we are optimistic that it will be done this year before we're gone.
And it's going to be good.
Yes.
Is Leonore here?
I was looking for him.
Just for clarification, you guys keep hearing these guys reference missing Leonore. She has tendered her resignation, effective, as I understand it, January 29th, week from Monday.
I apologize. I announced it during the grievance meeting, but right, not everyone was in there. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Yes, we will miss Leonore desperately, but wish her all the best.
He's asking about if we can get back into it. Okay, I'll talk among
Sorry.
ourselves. We shall now hear from the report of the Authorized Practice Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The AP committee met yesterday afternoon. We received the report on prepaid legal services plans that led to 2 action items. I don't believe action by the executive committee is required on either of those today. But to summarize those 2, the AP committee voted to issue a notice to show cause to the Debt Cleanse Group Legal Services plan. It failed to comply with the annual registration requirements despite multiple reminders to do so. For that reason, the AP committee voted to instruct the secretary to issue a notice to show cause. The second action item was orders of revocation with respect to 5 plans. These 5 plans, Babcock and Wilcox Investment, BMC Comprehensive Legal Plan, the State Defender Plan, and First Citizens Bank and Trust, they notified the Office of Counsel that they no longer desire to operate in North Carolina and therefore did not comply with the annual registration requirements. And based on that, the AP committee voted to recommend to the State Bar Council to revoke the registrations of those plans. So that, I'm supposed to say that that needs to be on the full council's agenda for tomorrow. We issued, moving on to the other items on the agenda, we issued 5 letters of caution. We dismissed 2 complaints, and the committee voted to move forward with injunction on 1 matter regarding Tigress McDaniel, and bring that matter for consideration before the executive committee today.
You have an action item, so,
Yes.
okay, all right.
So the committee's, the motion from the AP committee would be to move forward with an injunction process with respect to Ms. McDaniel.
Coming from a committee that does not require a second. Further discussion, questions of Bonnie?
I have a question. Ms. McDaniel, I sat in, she had mentioned that she was licensed or trying to get licensed in California. Is that correct?
That's our understanding.
And is there any precedent for?
Actually, can I correct that?
Yes, please.
So I don't believe she's licensed in California. She attended an online unaccredited law school in California.
Didn't she say that she was trying to get licensed?
That was my understanding.
She
yes.
said, she did say that she was trying.
I just
I
didn't
don't know
know.
what that meant exactly, but yeah.
I don't either with her, but I didn't know if you needed, if there's a standard for taking the information about the injunction or anything we do with her and transmitting that to California.
She should be required to self-report, but yes. Okay, perhaps a stupid point, but I would be happy to transmit that information if you all would like me to.
I just don't know if that's the standard of what's happened before, if that's appropriate.
I'm not sure we've had this exact situation before, so I'm not sure that there is one, but if you all would like me to do that, I'd be happy to do it.
We have certainly made referrals to other states and governing regulatory bodies in other situations. I think this one is probably unique on its set of facts, but we've made other referrals in similar situations.
I would just suggest we refer that information to California once we've commenced our action. Not say we're going to, that we notify them that we have. Not much to be accomplished by threatening to do it. We're going to go ahead and do it. If we vote to do that, then let them know we have done And then we have a record we can send them as to what our claims are.
Duly noted. You finished with your motion, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. You've heard the motion. It does not require a second coming from the committee. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Moving on, we will now hear from the Issues Committee, and Ms. Armstrong, the floor is yours.
So we received the report of the subcommittee that was appointed to study succession planning. That committee was chaired by Ashley Campbell, staffed by Brian, I think Rick and Barry. They did some excellent work, and their report is in the materials. As you know, the impetus for this study was to help especially small solo practice law firms designate somebody ahead of time that can take over if something were to happen to them, and their trust accounts, their client files, and deal with that. And I believe that this report also recommends having maybe some kind of portal on our website where you can go in and actually name your proposed trustee, because obviously the state bar would have to do their process once that's going down. So anyway, it's a great report. We're very appreciative of their work. And we recommend, the Issues Committee recommends to the council, for this executive committee to recommend to the council approval of the succession planning recommendations.
That is the recommendation from the committee. Needing no second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. Awesome.
And the Issues Committee also, we received a request from Dean Martin from the High Point University School of Law to amend the State Bar's administrative rule on approval of law schools, specifically .0105. We had presentations from both Dean Martin as well as from members of the Board of Law Examiners, and the request was denied. But since that time, Dean Martin has actually withdrawn the request. So this is really just for information only, is that right? Nothing else needs
Yes,
to
but
be done.
I will note the withdrawal in the minutes to
We received that, I believe, this morning from Dean
Yes,
Martin.
ma'am.
Any questions about that? Peter gave us an update on the implementation of the random audit program, so I think that's starting in January. Anything else you want to say about that, Peter?
No, to let everyone know that the selection process under the new policy it's started, and we're going to implement that for 2024. So not selected by judicial district, but selected, all lawyers having the same chance of being selected throughout the state.
Thank you. And we also have another subcommittee studying the deferral programs, chaired by Walter, and we ran out of time. So Walter is going to give us a robust report in the next board meeting. That would be the report of Issues.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Moving on, we will now hear from Catherine Fry to give us an update on what the Access to Justice Committee has been up to. Ms. Fry?
Yes, so we met yesterday, and unfortunately, the Legal Desert Subcommittee had not had an opportunity to meet, so they did not have any report. The subcommittee that was dealing with unbundled legal services or amending Rule 16 had met and proposed to the full committee an amendment to the rules to allow lawyers to be able to get in and get out of cases on very limited circumstances with a process that really protects the client that they're representing on that limited process, also gives the judge notice, but just clarifies the process so that lawyers that want to help, for example, with a temporary hearing can do that and have some specific guidance about the process now. And the committee considered that rule, and I do have one action item related to that rule. We would like to recommend to the council the approval of the amendment to Rule 16 and transmit that to the Supreme Court.
That is the recommendation of the committee, meeting no second. Any questions, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Catherine? Anything else?
No, I'm sorry, there's nothing else.
Thank you very much, Ken. Moving on, we will hear the report of the Communications Committee from our own Anna Cameron.
Hey, thank you. Hi. So we met yesterday and we don't have any action items. The law firm administrative portal is being rolled out and that seems to be working well. And that will eventually eliminate your ability to pay by paper check at all. And you might want to tell your firms that when your administrator starts that process, every lawyer is going to get an email to allow access, just so it's phishing or spam. So that was one thing. CLE rule changes are continuing to try to educate the public and of course the bar about what those are, and I know Peter is working hard on that. We've shifted all our digital platform focus to YouTube now, so everything that we do that's where you would go. Peter's insisting on starting a TikTok page, but I firmly said no. And we always want to encourage the counselors to try to use a newsletter template after the meetings. Peter says that the staff's going to try to generate the report quicker after each meeting, so it's fresh in everyone's mind about that. Just things that you might want to put in there. One idea that we thought would be like top 10 ideas that Peter and the rest of the bar council staff and everyone might think would be good, and then each counselor can tailor it if you want to, how you want to. The website's an ongoing project. Samantha Holmes is a new member of our committee. She's at Fayetteville State. She's a public member, and she quickly pointed out that the job that Peter and Brian are trying to do in the website and all of this is actually a full-time job for just a person on its own. I mean, it's a lot of work, and for us to put out a coherent statement that we want to communicate to the public and to the bar, that's a lot. So we're working on it, and Peter's working hard, and Brian's working hard, but eventually we may need to ramp that up in terms of somebody more devoted to just that as a full-time job. So, and the last thing is we're working on these short video. The goal is to do short videos for the YouTube station or YouTube channel website on things that might be of interest to the bar. Things like, what do you do when you get a grievance? A very short video. What do you just a sort of TikTok style informational video. So if you guys think of any subjects that you really think will be important for the bar to know and consider as a topic, let us know. So that would be our report with no action items.
Thank you very much. We'll now hear from the Ethics Committee. Judge Mitchell, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So the Ethics Committee met early this morning. We had our orientation first, and then we went into our full meeting. And I want to report first that we have a really robust group of members who are really excited about, and we have some really exciting items that we're hearing this right now. We have 3 new members, I believe, and 1 returning. And so we're really excited about that. They seem really engaged even after the first meeting, so that was really, really good. So we had 3 items that have been in subcommittee already. First one being the inquiry of Raby. It's in regards to a fee agreement requiring payment of estate planning lawyers' future legal fees. We had a couple of things dealing with, as what we heard in law school, dead people stuff. And then the second one being the use of artificial intelligence in the law practice. And then we had one matter that had been published, or one inquiry that had been published, and it went back for reconsideration. So we're sending that back to subcommittee. The installation of third-party self-service kiosk in lawyer's office, and the inclusion of a lawyer in the third party's advertising efforts. When it was published, we got a letter, some correspondence from the original person who submitted the inquiry, letting us know he was really upset about the way we were dealing with it. And so we're gonna send that back. As my children would say, he seemed to be mad. So we're gonna send that means pretty, pretty mad, for those that don't know that lingo. And so we're sending that back to subcommittee. And then we have two new items, new inquiries, and those are really have some good discussion about them. And the first one is an inquiry from our staff in regards to the use of the notes function in the Odyssey e-court system. So we've got some information in regards to district attorneys being able to put notes in the notes section of e-courts and judges being able to see that, and the other opposing party or other private attorneys not being able to see that before the judge gets it. So it seems to be some ex parte information there. So that one is going to subcommittee. And then the next one is inquiry of Lipford, another dead people stuff matter. duties for inherited confidential client information. That was, a lot of people have asked to serve on that committee. It's in regards to an infamous case out of Forsyth County. And so we're sending that to subcommittee to be vetted and for us to have some good discussion about that. We don't have any action items for executive committee, but we do have one opinion that is being published, and that's the one on the use of artificial intelligence in a law practice, and then one being presented to the full council on tomorrow for adoption, and that's the use of the lawyer's trade name for keyword advertisements in the internet search. And that's our report.
Sounds like a very robust meeting this morning. I kept coming back thinking you guys would be done, and you never worked at the last minute, so that's a good sign.
When I tell you we had so many people after the meeting saying, "Can you please put me on this committee?" Which is really cool. So we can tell people are really excited about what we're doing today. So
Great, thank you for your report. We shall now hear from the Distinguished Service Awards Committee, chaired by Warren Savage. The floor is yours, Warren.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time I'd like to move to go into closed session pursuant to two provisions of the statute, 143-318-.11A2 to prevent the premature disclosure of an honorary degree or award, and also under A3 for discussion with our Bar Council of a pending or anticipated judicial action in order to preserve attorney-client privilege.
I'll make a motion. Is there a second to that motion? All in favor? Aye.
All good.
Everybody's coming in. It's right.
And you're going to say aye.
Warren, Peter, we're on?
We're on. Yes.
Hold on.
He said we're on. He gave us a thumbs up.
yeah.
Warren?
All right, thank you. On behalf of the Distinguished Service Committee, Executive Committee approved the nominations discussed in closed session. Candidates A, candidate B, and candidate C for presentation to the full council tomorrow for approval for the John D. McMillan Distinguished Service Award, subject to our standard due diligence checks.
And that is your motion?
That is my motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
May not need a second, but I got one.
Have it, but
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Warren.
Mr. President, I make a motion to go back into closed session. This time pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A6 to consider the qualifications, character, fitness, conditions of an employee of the organization.
Properly moved. Is there a second?
Good.
Mr. President, on behalf of Finance and Audit, we would recommend the body adopt the recommendations made by Finance and Audit in the closed session.
Relative to the compensation.
Relative to the compensation, correct.
discussion? According to my agenda, is there any other business anyone wishes to bring before